Okay, now y'all can hear me. Ah, okay. Sorry about that. My audio was off, and I think that y'all can be able to hear me now. Okay, yay. All right. So I was just chatting away to y'all. So I was explaining or telling y'all that the weather here in Georgia has just been absolutely crazy this past week. So 2 days ago, the weather was in the upper 40s and it was very cold. To me, that's very cold. And then yet today, the temperature almost got to 70. And tomorrow, it's going to be in 71 degrees. And so that is very, very warm, and it's very bipolar, and it's very normal for what the weather is like here in Georgia. I was talking to someone on the phone the other day, and we were talking about the weather for a client that's relocating from Massachusetts area. And I was explaining to her that it's not a normal or unusual to be in short sleeves on Christmas Day or Thanksgiving Day. So it's definitely drastically different than where she is in Massachusetts. So definitely cold and warm and cold and warm. And that's just kind of how the weather goes here in Georgia. And you always have to kind of take a look at the weather, especially during the fall and the winter, to figure out how you need to dress. Another thing I shared is that I filmed this in my basement. So right now I'm in a room in the basement of my house, and basements always typically are a little bit cooler than the other parts of the house. So we are in a heated and cooled area in my basement, but we typically don't run the air down here just because it's not really needed. But on a day like today, it's much cooler down here in the basement. So I'm cold and my nose is red because it doesn't make sense to turn on the heater, because upstairs it's quite, it's comfortable, but it's really warm outside and humid. So I am cold down here in the basement. So thank y'all for joining me. It's been a few weeks since we've been together. And of course, we are covering today all the new things that are coming to the North Metro Atlanta area in 2023. So as you have known in the videos that you've seen me produce, is that there's a lot of growth and development happening in this area. And if you've taken a trip to the area, or if you live here, you know that you've driven around and you have just seen stuff being built everywhere, from apartments to neighborhoods to restaurants and multi-use developments. They are coming up everywhere. So I thought today we would kind of give a little bit of a deeper dive of what's coming in a lot of the areas that we serve, and kind of share with you some of the things that you have to look forward to. Or if you don't want to be in an area where all this growth is happening, then here's your sign to stay away from these areas, because with all of this growth and development brings more people, more jobs, more housing, more traffic on the road. And Anthony says in the comments that raining has been the worst. Yeah, here in Georgia, it's been a miserably ugly week of rain, and it's been so gloomy and dark and foggy out. We did some virtual tours for a client today and yesterday, and it was just so gloomy. And it's not normally like that in the winter here. So that is something to keep in mind. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what is coming to the Metro Atlanta area. Let's see here. Let's dive into the Alpharetta area first. So let me share my screen. Bear with me here. Okay, so here in this is a development that is coming in Alpharetta, and it's called Northwind Summit. And this is going to be a kind of huge industrial park area that is going to be very close to the Avalon. So if you've heard me talk about this Avalon shopping area a lot on the videos, because it's a really great destination for families to go to for a mix of kind of mid-end stores to high-end stores. And you've got some really great restaurants at the Avalon. So Northwind Summits is going to be a mixed-use development area that is going to have office spaces, multifamily apartment homes, retail, 120,000 square feet of retail shops. You've got restaurants, and you're going to have a hotel there. And so that is going to be a huge thing that is going to be in that area. And that is definitely something that to keep in mind, because that area is already congested and crowded. And so having that is going to be making that area even more congested and crowded. But if you are just going there and driving to use those space and the destination for the restaurants and stuff like that, you're definitely not going to mind it, because it's going to be on the weekend, and that's probably why you're headed in that direction. But we are seeing a lot more of these kind of live, work, play areas pop up all across the North Metro Atlanta area. So another development that is happening in Alpharetta is another mixed-use development area, and this is a live, work, play area being built by Brock Built Homes. So they are a builder that builds all across the nation. It's going to be built on 25 acres, and you can kind of see here is the map of what they're trying to do. But it says that they're going to build 37 single-family homes, 144 townhomes, and 4 office buildings. And it's going to go on that 25-acre parcel around the Haynes Bridge and Morrison Parkway area. So they've already started the development of this live, work, and play area. Not necessarily going to have any, well, you will have some restaurants and other retails that will serve the area, but that is definitely something to look out for. And that goes to speak to the fact that if townhomes are your thing, you have a ton of townhome options that are popping up all across the Metro Atlanta area. So that is something to keep in mind and think about. It seems for builders, it's cheaper to build a townhome, right? Because you can fit way more square footage, and it's way more efficient to build a townhome than it is to build a single family home. And so that is why you are seeing way more townhomes come in. It's more profitable. And because of the housing demand, cities have been much more inclined to approve townhomes to be built, and they require less land. So land is at a premium here in Georgia. And so anytime a builder can find a piece of land to put a development on, they're going to get way more bang for their buck by putting in townhomes versus single family homes. And another comment that we get from a lot of clients that we work with is the need or wanting to have a lot of yard space. Well, that yard space comes at a premium because the builder has to make those lots larger to accommodate those lots. Whereas if you're looking at a townhome, that is not something that you have to deal with. So let's take a look at another development. Let's hop over to Dacula. So I saw that we have a viewer here. The Queen of Witches just moved to Dacula from Sarasota, Florida, and she misses her home. A lot of construction going on as well. So yes, there is a lot of construction. I don't know what your reasons were for moving to Dacula, but if you definitely want help moving back, we would love to help you make that move. Or if we can help provide any advice or anything like that to help make this move here a little bit easier, we would love to. So a really unique thing that is happening in Dacula is there are plans for this massive 20,000 acre research park to be put into Dacula, and it is called the Rowan Project. It is being developed by the Rowan Foundation, and this has been in work with Gwinnett County for years. And it is going to take 15 years to develop this research park. And it's going to be kind of like more of like a mixed use research park where it's going to be like a live, work, play, but with a heavy emphasis on the companies that they are going to be attracting to this development. And they often kind of compare it to the research triangle that is in the North Carolina area. So it's kind of mimicking that, but not really. So I'm going to share with you some more information about this because this is going to have a huge impact on home values in the Dacula area, accessibility, and kind of the demand for houses in Dacula. So how this makes me think if I'm a buyer right now, Dacula may be a great place to buy for long-term equity in your house because of all of the jobs and everything that's going to come to the area. There's going to be a huge demand for housing. So let me share that with you. Okay, so this doesn't look like much right now, but I just found this recent article where this project is generating international interest. So we have got 2,000 acres that are being developed just outside of Dacula. It's going to take a decade to build that out, and it's going to rival North Carolina's Research Triangle Park. And so they're really focusing on these 3 research areas: medicine, agricultural, and environment. And they're really looking to draw in a lot of people and jobs from the colleges that are here in Georgia. And so I'll show you a picture on their website, but they really tried to say, okay, how can we be in the center of all of these universities? And there's like this triangle of the University of Georgia. You got University of North Georgia in the Gainesville area, and then you have Georgia Tech, Georgia State, down in downtown Atlanta and Emory. And so you have all of these great college educated people that need jobs, and they're trying to keep them in the area. So they're expecting Rowan to generate 18,500 jobs in its first 15 years. And long term, they're looking at over 100,000 jobs. So for me as a real estate agent, all of those people, they have to live somewhere, right? And these are going to be research, high paying jobs. They're going to have a huge demand for housing. So that's very, very interesting. Okay, so this is the Rowan website, and it's a very unique website. It's kind of mysterious. It kind of makes me think that this should be like a video or documentary. So they're really looking to conserve the land of these 2,000 acres. I think I said 20,000 earlier. It's 2,000. They're really looking to kind of conserve the space and make it be this futuristic type work experience. And so you go onto their website, and it's very flowery language, I guess you could say, of what they're trying to create. They're trying to create a knowledge community, so a collaborative space, including a combination of offices, research facilities, public spaces, and residences that foster knowledge sharing among entrepreneurs. So yes, it seems like a very dystopian, kind of futuristic work world. And they are currently in the process of clearing all of this land to get this done. And so one of the unique things, the real estate that's going to be available here is not going to be single family homes. It's either going to be apartments or townhomes. And they are expecting to have the first job employers in this space and open by next year. But long term, it's going to take them at least 10 years to build this out. It says here that they picked this location because of the 3 vibrant metropolitan statistical areas. So that's kind of like the Athens area, the Atlanta area, and the Gainesville area. They're kind of like right in the middle of that triangle there. We talked earlier about how they were going to do agricultural, environmental, and medical research here. And they are expecting to attract all kinds of businesses, but mainly those with roots in medical, agricultural, and environmental fields is what they're really going after. And so they will have the ability to have restaurants and things like that there, but it's not going to be a heavy area where there's going to be a lot of sorry, I just realized that I don't think the right screen was sharing. I'm sorry, y'all. That there's not going to be a lot of work-life play type things. It's going to be mostly work and a little bit of areas for shopping and eating, just to take care of your daily needs. So that is a little bit about what is going on in Alpharetta and Dacula, and we'll dive into Cumming and Gainesville here in a little bit. But in the meantime, thank you so much for joining in and watching the live stream. I would love to answer any questions that you may have about relocating or moving or anything that's going on in the housing market. And I would love to answer those questions for you as you are watching today. Charlie made the comment, or Charles, sorry, that when it snows, get off the roads. No one in the Metro Atlanta area knows how to drive in it. Boy, is that the truth. So growing up in South Georgia, I particularly love it when it snows because that never happened. And well, it did one time when I was like really little, and I distinctly remember that memory of it snowing in Valdosta. But here, well, since we've moved here 7, almost 8 years ago, it has snowed one time every single year. And I've shared with y'all that I used to be a teacher. And so, boy, that was exciting because then the schools shut down, even at the hint of snow. So even if they call for snow, all the schools are going to shut down because the buses are not equipped for icy road conditions. A lot of times, mostly they're concerned with the ice on the road as the snow melts and then maybe refreezes. And also, especially here in the Gainesville, Hall County area, you've got a really big county. And so up in the northern part of the county, where it's more mountainous, you can have really bad road conditions, where south of the county, the weather could be drastically different. So everyone freaks out. Everyone gets really excited about the snow. Usually it's nothing, it's a nothing burger event. Nothing happens. And yet occasionally we'll actually get snow that will stick to the ground. The event lasts for a day. All the kids are excited because they don't have school. As a teacher, I used to be excited because I got to stay at home. And now as a real estate agent, it's really, really fun because getting to see houses and pictures in the snow is really exciting as well. All right. So that is what it looks like as snow. And so I'm sure a lot of y'all are probably living in a very snowy area. Where you don't have to deal with that whenever you come to Georgia. You don't have to deal with the snow blowing or the icing your driveway, or I don't know what y'all do, because I've never had to deal with that. So yeah, but let me know. Yeah, Charles said also the municipalities don't have snow removal equipment. Y'all can Google, there was a big, they called it Snowmageddon. I don't know what year it happened, 10 years ago in Atlanta, and like people got trapped on the interstate for hours and hours and hours, and people had to like sleep in their car because there's this massive traffic jam trying to get home with the threat of snow or ice. Yeah, it was a big, huge mess. So everyone makes fun of Atlanta for that big, huge traffic jam that happened. So as we're going through this, I would love to know if you have any questions about the housing market, or if you're considering a move to Georgia in 2023. I'd love to answer any of those questions that you may have. So let's get back to what is coming in the North Metro Atlanta area. And let's go look at Cumming. So Cumming has quite a few things that are happening in the area, but one of the things that recently made headlines was this huge spa that is coming to Cumming. And of course, this is something that piqued my interest. So let me pull this up for you. Let's see. Yes. Okay. So this is a hot springs and spa, and it's expected to generate $500 million in economic impact. So this is going to be called Passport Springs and Spa, and it is slated to be open, or being currently built right now, and it's going to open in the fall of 2023. So this is the exterior renderings, and I'll show you the inside. But it's going to have over $500,000 or $500 million in economic impact over a 10-year period. And this is the largest hot springs and spa venue in North America. And so why they picked Cumming, I don't know, but it's close to me. So I'm super excited about this. And it looks like a super exciting spa experience. So let me show you what their website looks like, because I had only heard about the development, but I hadn't seen actual pictures of what the inside was going to look like. And when I saw this, y'all, I need to get there. I need this to open and go ahead and make some reservations. So look at this. All right. It's going to have 4 breathtaking pavilions. One, I guess, has a Japanese theme, an Israel theme. Look at that. That just looks so cool. I've never been to anything close to that. An Italy-themed pavilion, one from Costa Rica. I mean, that just looks heaven. You got a passport pool. You've got the Dead Sea where you can float. That's really exciting. I mean, these pictures just look super cool, and they're going to have a restaurant. So what this tells me is that if you have a reluctant spouse that doesn't want to move to the area, you can just go ahead and show them this great spa that's going to be built, and you can encourage them and entice them with spa days all the time. That sounds very exciting to me. All right, let's see what questions y'all have. Oh, Marcy says that everyone in Minnesota owns a snowblower, salt and snow shovels, and it snowed today. Oh, I could not imagine having to snow blow or do a snow shovel just to get out or drive around. That just sounds miserable, but I'm sure that y'all do it all the time and it's nothing to y'all. Yeah. Michael Waller asks, is there a good website to look up home inspectors? That's a good question. So there's not like an Angie's List or anything like that that reviews home inspectors, but your real estate agent should have 2 incredibly great home inspectors that they can recommend. Michael, I know you're working with Amos, and so I would love to make sure that you have a really great home inspector. A home inspector is so important in the purchase of your house. And so the reason that a real estate agent is going to have a great recommendation is because we know the good ones from the bad ones. And the people that we recommend to you are people that we've seen a lot of their inspection reports. So we know when they're able to catch the good stuff. We know when they're able to catch the bad stuff. We know that they're not someone that's like exaggerating things and making you freak out over nothing. And then we also know that they are catching the things that need to get caught and bringing those to your attention. So we have great home inspectors, and I would ask your real estate agent, and this is for anyone watching anywhere, get their recommendation. And you might have a family or friend that has also recently bought a house, and they might have a home inspector that they've used, but a typical home inspector is going to spend a good 2 to 3 hours at the house. They're going to touch everything. They're going to give you pictures on everything, test all the electrical outlets, open all the doors, shut all the drawers to the cabinets and everything like that. And they're going to point out all those little things that are wrong with the house. So your real estate agent will be your best resource for the best home inspector. Occasionally, we have clients that will use their own home inspector or from a recommendation that they've got from someone. And whenever that happens, it's like, okay, great. Let's see how the inspection report comes out. But sometimes I've seen home inspectors miss some big stuff. And if a home inspector that I recommend misses something for a client, that is not someone that I'm going to recommend and refer to my future clients. So they know that in order to keep business and keep me and my clients happy, they need to do a really, really good job. And so that's why it's really important to work with a real estate agent that has those trusted relationships and that's been in the business for a while and has enough experience to kind of really find those people that they really trust and recommend. Crawlers and Customs. It was 83 in Miami today. Do you ever wish that it was cold sometimes? I just wonder that. Sometimes I really appreciate and love the weather in the spring and the summer and fall, but then, I just get that itch where I'm like, oh, I'm ready for it to be cold. I'm ready to experience some seasons. Queen of Witches asks, is it better to buy a home from an owner or realtor? I love this question, and it's a loaded one. So if you're a buyer and you're working with a real estate agent, you're in a good position to buy from a for sale by owner. The reason is that the for sale by owner is at a disadvantage. They don't know the contracts. They don't know all the ins and outs of selling a house. And so if I have a client and we come across a for sale by owner and they're for sale by owner, so they're not working with a real estate agent, I'm going to work that contract and all the negotiations absolutely in my client's favor. I'm not going to give that seller any information that's going to help them whatsoever to help them be in a better position than my client. So if a for sale by owner is not working with an agent, they're not getting that advice to put the seller in that best situation. So a lot of times a buyer can come out pretty darn good in a lot of cases when they have a real estate agent working with a for sale by owner. So, but in terms of the actual house itself, sometimes you can see a for sale by owner house may not be the best kept house. And I say that it's just kind of something that I've learned in my experience. Typically someone that wants to sell for sale by owner, they are looking to save money. They don't want to pay a real estate commission. They think they know what they're doing and they can do it all on their own. And so a lot of times, not all the time, but sometimes that mentality kind of transfers over into home repairs and things like that, or they may not be on top of everything that they should in the sale of their home. And so typically what we see in the real estate industry is that sometimes a house will sell as a for sale by owner without being listed by an agent. Typically, though, what happens is that for sale by owner will try to sell it on their own, and then eventually they realize they are not finding the right buyer, or they're unrealistic in their price, and they'll seek out the advice of a real estate agent. And then that real estate agent will then list the home on the market. From the buying side, typically a for sale by owner sometimes are underpriced. So the seller doesn't really know truly what their home is worth. And so sometimes we see them undervalue them, and you can get a good deal from a for sale by owner, especially when you're able to negotiate repairs and all that kind of things. And if they had a real estate agent representing them, that agent might say, hey, they're asking for $5,000 in repairs, and this really only costs $2,000, or this is not a normal ask. You shouldn't pay that. They don't have anyone there telling them that. So that's why if you can find a for sale by owner, it's not a bad idea to kind of consider that. And you also have to, one of the other things I like about it from a buying side is that not all real estate agents will go look at a for sale by owner for their clients. And what I mean by that is, so if I'm working with you as a client and we're trying to find you the perfect house, in addition to looking on the MLS system, in addition to looking for off-market properties, I'm also looking at the for sale by owners to see if there's a for sale by owner out there that's going to be a good match for you. Not all real estate agents will do that, because there comes a lot of extra work working with a for sale by owner when there's not an agent on the other side. Even though if I'm representing you as a buyer and I'm doing all the paperwork contract for that for sale by owner, because there's not that agent on the other side managing and doing all that, typically ends up being a lot more work for the real estate agent that is involved. But that's not something I mind, because I want you to get the very best house for the very best deal. So those are all good things to take into consideration. So there's not a better or worse answer when it comes to buying from an owner, but I strongly advise you to have a real estate agent, no matter if you're buying from a home in a new construction, or if you're buying from the MLS market, or if you're buying a for sale by owner. You need a real estate agent in your corner. The great thing is too, whenever you're on the buying side, typically you as a buyer are not having to pay out of pocket for the real estate commission. The seller side is paying that real estate commission. Typically it's rolled into the house price itself already. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Charles said that for sale by owners are very rare in the Atlanta area. Yes, I can attest to that. So especially coming out of this market, or at least over the past 2 years, it's been very rare to find for sale by owners. Used to, I could go and look at it in an area for sale by owner and find 20, 30 different options. Now, when I go to look for sale by owner, I'm finding like 5. So definitely the for sale by owners have been in a good position over the past couple of years, where it's been really easy to sell their house, or they've been smart enough to know that they should list with a real estate agent, because they will get way more for their house. Because the more people you expose your home to, the better opportunity you have to sell your home for the most amount of money. So we are starting to see more for sale by owners, and we are starting to see more expired listings. So an expired listing is whenever a seller has put their home on the market for sale. Typically a normal listing time period is 90 days, sometimes a little bit longer, 180 days. And that house did not sell during that time period when it was on the market. So either the seller didn't lower the price, they were getting bad advice from their agent, but for whatever reason, that house did not sell. And so it went off the market as expired. The listing agreement expired. Those listings are a great opportunity to get a good deal, because typically we can, that seller wanted to sell for a reason, right? And so there was some motivation there to sell that house, and either their motivation didn't match what they were willing to take on the house, or they just didn't really have a good agent and the price needs to be lowered. But there's a great opportunity if you have some flexibility in your time frame and stuff like that, to kind of consider some expired listings. And that is something that if you work with a really great agent, they'll do for you. And in addition to searching for on-market properties, they're also going to look for recently expired properties that they could reach out to that owner for and say, hey, I've got a great buyer. They're looking for a house just like yours, and I saw that it did not sell. Are you still interested in selling? Let me talk to you. So that is a great thing to kind of consider. Catherine asks, what is a reasonable range for a 2 to 3 bedroom rental with a basement? Ooh, that's a loaded question, Catherine. It really depends on the area. So if you are looking at a single family house with a basement, you're needing 3 bedrooms. So it's going to be incredibly rare to have a 2 bedroom with a basement. So almost all of them are going to have 3 bedrooms with a basement. If you're looking at unfinished or finished, you're looking at, I would say, at least 2,500 in most all of the metro Atlanta areas, if not into the upper threes. It really just depends on the area and where you're looking to buy. Catherine also asked, with the housing market slowly shifting, is there a shift in the rental market too? What is the normal minimum lease for rentals? This is a fantastic question, and it's one that I talk through with clients a lot. So let's break this apart. The market is shifting because interest rates have risen so much, which makes buying a home more expensive. So people that otherwise would have bought a home, they're now saying, ugh, okay, this monthly payment is more than what I wanted to spend, and I don't have enough money for all the down payment and to be comfortable with that monthly payment. I just don't want to buy a house right now. So all those people are not buying a house. So what do they have to do? They have to go rent. So that shifts away the demand for buying a house into the category of renting a house. So we are seeing huge demand for rentals, which means when there's more demand than there is supply, we're seeing rental rates continue to rise. So we have not seen a shift at all in the rental markets. And that's not going to happen. We're not going to see that shift in the rental market until we start to see a shift in the housing market, where more of those people go back to buying a house and where that becomes more affordable. And I hate to break it to you, but I think we're in this predicament, this messiness, for a good long while. So then the thought process becomes, okay, well, if I'm going to be renting and rental rates are not going to go down anytime in the next couple of years, and rental rates keep rising and rising and rising, why not seriously do everything you can to get into a house that you buy? Because at least the house that you buy, you know what that fixed monthly cost is going to be every single month. And that house payment is not ever going to go up unless you got to factor in taxes will go up, right? They also come down too. So you're going to have a little bit of variable cost in your taxes. You're going to have a little bit of variable costs also in home maintenance expenses. And so it's not like completely fixed. You have to take that into account. But you at least know your fixed monthly housing cost is always going to be the same unless you refinance that loan. Now, of course, you're not going to refinance that loan unless you can get a lower monthly payment on your mortgage every single month. So if anything, the only possibility for that mortgage price, that monthly payment that you're making every single month, is to go down. Whereas if you're renting, that's only for the foreseeable future. And in historical graphs, rent prices have only continued to rise and rise and rise. So another point to buying versus renting is that whenever you're renting, 100% of that money every single month, you're just flushing down the drain. Whereas if you're buying and you're paying a mortgage, you're paying down that balance and you're building equity in your house as well, so that whenever you turn around to sell it, a lot of the times you're going to be able to recoup the cost that you put into the house, plus some. Not always, but for the most part. Now, of course, I think I saw someone in the chat say that they're going to rent for a while before they figure out where they want to be. That's excellent. My husband and I did that whenever we moved to the area. We rented a house for a year. We wanted to know, we weren't in a position where we could buy immediately, and we wanted to get to know the area a little bit better. So that is definitely something. But if we would have had to pay and rent what we would have to pay now for that same house, for sure, we would have probably done a little bit more research, spent a little bit more time up here, and would have went ahead and bought. So that's just something to keep in mind. And I know that is a lot of information, probably more than what you wanted, but that is important for you to know. Wyatt is relocating to the Woodstock area from Tampa, Florida by summer of 2023. Looking forward to experienced seasons, hopefully. Yes, it's one of my favorite things about living here. So Tampa is still way further away than Valdosta, where I grew up. And we used to live in Brunswick, Georgia too, which was on the coast. And we had 2 seasons there, like hot and not so hot. So it is great to be able to experience seasons here, and it is really, really great. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Gerald says, hi, could you maybe cover Canton in a future video? I see expansion and construction everywhere around there. It's very close to Milton, but without the high property taxes. Yes, that is a great idea, and we will put that on the schedule and get that out very, very shortly. Canton is beautiful. It's a little bit more rural than Alpharetta, Milton area. Great schools. There's some areas that can be pricey. So even though we're not paying the Alpharetta, Milton prices, still not cheap, but it is a great town. And yes, we will make sure to get a video on that. All right, let me show you. So we talked about that spa that is coming and Cumming. And there is another mixed-use development center that is coming as well. It's going to be about $400 million, y'all. $400 million to build this mixed-use development center in Cumming. They also just recently opened up Cumming City Center, and that has like an outdoor amphitheater and restaurants and all kinds of things. Downtown Gainesville has also gone through like this great revitalization. It is really cool, and they have built some really great apartments in downtown Gainesville too, where you can walk everywhere. And another thing that I saw today, and I was like, oh, what a great timing to share with y'all, is that they are going to allow, at least it's in the plans right now, golf carts on the streets of downtown Gainesville. So this is huge. Oh, dang it. Okay. It's behind a paywall. Earlier, or at least on my phone today, I could see this. But they are going to allow golf carts in downtown Gainesville. And so this is really cool because a lot of people reach out and they want to be in an area where they can walk to things. But a lot of towns in North Metro Atlanta area, even heck in Atlanta, it's just not feasible to not have a car. Occasionally you might find an area where you might be able to walk to a few restaurants or a coffee shop, but you're never going to be able to find an area unless you live directly in one of these mixed-use development areas where you can go grocery shopping, walk to work, walk to the dentist and walk to restaurants. Like it just doesn't really exist. But one thing that has been happening is like this shift to golf cart communities. So a really popular golf cart community in the Atlanta area is Peachtree City. That city was designed for golf carts. So almost every single person that lives in Peachtree City has a car and they have a golf cart, and you can get everywhere around town in the golf cart. So with all this development that they have going on in downtown Gainesville, so apartments and townhomes and all these kind of areas, they're starting to now allow where you can drive your golf cart from your house and go to downtown and park and go to restaurants and shop and do all this kind of things. So I thought that was really, really cool that they are allowing that. And of course, they still got to go through all the laws and all that kind of thing. But it is in the works and they're going to make it happen. So that is very, very interesting. So we are up at the end of the year. What are y'all looking forward to the most in 2023? Are you planning a big move? Is that on the horizon? I would love to kind of know what you're thinking and what you're looking forward to. If you're local, is there any place or thing that you are looking forward to coming? So I know I live in Gainesville, and one of the cool things about all of this development that has happened is a lot of restaurants have opened up recently. So I don't know if you're considering the Gainesville area, but in my pros and cons video of Gainesville, I said kind of one of the cons is that we just have a lot of chain restaurants here. There's not a ton of local restaurants as if you would see in Alpharetta, Milton, Cumming. Like they have really great local restaurants. Swanee, Duluth, they have a lot of amazing local restaurants, but Gainesville just felt kind of lacking. It felt like we had to drive to go experience these great local restaurants. And there are a ton of restaurants that are opening up that are local. And so that's really, really exciting and fun. Queen of Witches, you're having to get used to living in Georgia. Yeah, let us know if we can do anything to help make that a little bit easier for you. We'd love to give you some good advice on that. Crawlers and Customs, you're moving to Georgia in 2023. Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, and so of course, if you're watching this and you're thinking about making a move and you haven't reached out to us yet, we would love to work with you and consult with you and help you strategize and plan. It's never too early to start talking about moving. I say never too early. Like if you're like 5 years away, that's really hard to plan for, because I can't even predict what the market's going to look like at the end of next year, much less 5 years from now. So occasionally we'll have someone say, hey, we're thinking about moving in 5 years and our budget's $300,000. Cannot predict that at all, but for sure the trajectory that we are on, that's not going to be possible in 5 years. So, but definitely if you're thinking about making a move within the next year or so, we would love to go ahead and start working with you now and kind of plan for you and help with that. ST says that planning on relocating early 2023, do you think it would be possible to achieve a loan without income but substantial funds in the bank? Good question. So, there are some non-traditional loans that you could probably be a great candidate for. So I currently am working with a client right now who is self-employed, and because of taxes and things like that, they don't have quite the income to show tax-wise, but yet they're, have a lot of funds elsewhere. So we're doing a non-traditional loan, and that's allowing them to purchase a house now with the possibilities of refinancing into something different later on. If you're self-employed or you have a job that is 1099 or something like that, that's definitely still available to do a normal traditional loan. And this is exactly why I really encourage you to reach out to us early so that we can put you in contact with our really, really great lender, because they can go ahead and help you strategize and do what you need to do now so that you have the answers to those questions. And sometimes it just might be a matter of documenting something a little bit differently to put you in a better position 6 months from now to buy a house than what you're currently doing it. And it's always good to have that knowledge ahead of time. So yes, there are loan options out there, but just without knowing more details, I can't really give you that guidance. But of course, our lender, our two lenders that we work with are fantastic, and they can give you some really great guidance on that and kind of give you an option of what options they have for you. Tom is the name of my husband. I watched a bunch of your videos before I moved across the country and decided to end up in Woodstock. Well, awesome, Tom. And next time, use us. Call us. We would love to help you buy that house. But I'm so happy that you made it out here and that you love it. And thank you for watching and supporting us. So if you're like Tom and you're watching this, or you have watched the videos, reach out to us. We want to be that agent to help you buy the house. That's the whole goal of me making these videos, is because I want to meet you in person and I want to be that really great advocate for you, boots on the ground, helping you buy that house. Let's see. What other questions do we have? Charles says, doing a career change first so I can make the move and buy in 24. Yes. So good rule of thumb is that if you're going from like a self-employed, if you're self-employed, you have to have 2 years of documented income, or if you're commission-based, or if you're 1099, you have to be in that role for 2 years before you can document and count that income towards fuzzy flying around, before you can count that income towards buying a house. If you are a W-2 employee, that drastically changes things, though. You just kind of need to have a paycheck or two. But a great lender that we can connect you with will help you with that. Oh, Tom says he's renting. Awesome. See, you did what I did, or you're renting and you're kind of getting used to the area. But I'm so happy that you like Georgia. That's something that's very scary, moving across the country completely to a different state. I guess, knock on wood or whatever, but I've never had that drastic of a change before. So we've only lived in Georgia and in Jacksonville, Florida before. But I can say that out of the hundreds of families that we've helped over the past couple of years, we've not had one person not like living in Georgia. So that's been very, very exciting. And it just makes me really, really happy that people are happy whenever they come here. It makes me feel like, even though we can't control the state of Georgia and how much they like it here, I do feel like we're somewhat, responsible, or I don't know what the right word is. I don't know. I guess I get a sense of pride in my home state that we did it. Y'all, you like us, you love us. You do have to become a Georgia Bulldogs fan, though. So if you haven't watched football, the UGA just won the SEC championship, and we are ranked number 1 in the country. So we'll have to stay tuned over the next couple of weeks and see how the college football playoff championship goes. But Dogs on top. We are going to win and be national champions for the 2nd year in a row. So that is also something that you can look forward to moving to Georgia. You have a winning college football team. That's only if you pull for Georgia, though, because if you go for Georgia Tech, they don't win that much. But who knows? That may change, right? I'm sure there might be some Tech fans watching or not watching. All right. Well, if y'all do not have any other questions, we are going to wrap this up on the live stream. And of course, we're here every Wednesday that we can. Sometimes we have to skip a Wednesday, but we're here every Wednesday that we can to bring you all the great information about moving to Georgia and answering all of your questions. And we are excited to be here. I think the Queen of Witches has one more question, so get it in there. Charles says that he's very lucky that he has a childhood friend who moved to Georgia 20 years ago. That is a good one. Yeah, you definitely have to move. So you said they've been bugging you to move for years. We helped a client a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. And she told me that, that they were going to move here, and that her family was going to move here as well. So her brother and sister and her parents, and then they also had some friends that were going to move. And I was like, okay, sure. Like what entire family unit just ups and moves from one part of the country to another part, and everyone moves? Sure enough, they all moved, and we were able to get them all in the exact same neighborhood. That's a huge personal accomplishment for me, to get them all in houses that they loved in the same neighborhood. And so that was 4 families that moved together. So when people, I guess they have strong influence over their friends and family. What do you look for as far as credit, and how much income is needed for a $300,000 home? Oh, good question. So typically, in order to qualify for pretty good rates on a loan, you want your credit score to be at least around 650. That's really the target number of where you kind of get the best breaks. Anything above that is, it just keeps getting better. Anything below that, it's going to be more expensive to do the loan. Typically you want to have, how much income you need for that $300,000 home. Really what they look at is your debt to income ratio. So most loans use a 50% ratio. They want to know that your monthly payments for any debt that you have, so credit cards, student loans, outstanding medical bills, anything like that, that debt to income ratio is no greater than 50%. So depending upon what the interest rate is, that gives you a way to work backwards to kind of figure out like what that monthly payment is on that house. Include that monthly payment in that debt to income ratio, and you want to keep that, or lenders want to keep that below 50%. So that gives you 50% of like cost of what your current debt obligations are, including the house, including insurance and stuff like that. And then that leaves you 50% left over for living expenses. But I'll tell you that 50% for living expenses may not be enough to cover all of your living expenses. So using that 50% ratio may not be something that you feel comfortable with. But we can put you in contact with a really great lender that can give you that information, and they can say, hey, what's your income? What do you think your credit score is going to be? And they can figure out that number for you really, really quickly. So I would love to connect you with a really great lender. You can reach out to us. Our contact information is going to be below this video. And of course, our website is keypointhomesgroup.com. You can find our phone number and email on there as well. We'll also make sure to put that in the information below this video. The Queen of Witches, do they look at your savings? Yes, they do look at your savings. So that can be accounted for and used in your debt to income ratio. And of course, you're probably going to use some of that towards your down payment on the house as well. But yes. All right. So so thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's going to be warm here in Georgia for the next couple of days. And then I looked ahead and we're back in the 40s in another week or so. So back to that cold weather, which I do kind of enjoy. We have a fireplace and My husband's really good about making a fire, and I just love looking at it every single night and being warm by the fire. So I hope you are warm where you are, and I look forward to tuning in with you next Wednesday. I'll be back answering more questions, and we have another video, of course, dropping on Sunday as well. Reach out to us if you haven't already. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight, and I will see you next week. Bye, y'all.